Okay, we are live, and this is Katrina Harris Earl. I'm one of the Force of Friendship members, and today is International Women's Day, and I am so excited. I get emotional because, number one, I love technology.
We are live, and Katrina Harris Earl. I'm one of the Force of Friendship members, and today is International Women's Day.
Hold on.
So excited. I get emotional.
Hold on, I'm not sure. 1 minute. I don't know why that happened. Let's see. To cancel that. I don't know why that happened. Okay, do you hear feedback?
Yes, I was hearing feedback. Sorry.
This happened last time. Hold on.
I don't know why that happened.
Okay, do you hear feedback?
Yes, I was hearing feedback.
This happened last time. Hold on.
I don't know why that happened.
Okay, do you hear feedback?
Yes, I was hearing feedback.
Okay, I'm praying that it went away. I closed all kinds of windows, so we're going to test it for 1 minute. And can you hear me now, Rooks?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Very interesting. Last time I did this and it did that same thing, but I think it's because I had feedback on the from another window or something. Okay, get excited. So I was gonna say, thank you, Lord, for letting this work. Okay, I was gonna say I love technology because technology really, if it's used for good, it can do so many great things. And so today I'm introducing you to someone who's near and dear to my heart. I mean, when I married Dr. Anthony Earl, along with that came a host of so many beautiful people, and Rooks, you are one of them. And so this is our friend, Rooks, all the way from, are you in Port Shepstone now?
No, I'm in the Eastern Cape, East London.
Excellent. The Eastern Cape, East London. I am getting used to everything in terms of all the different places. And I think that Anthony has not taken me there yet, I believe. And so I am so excited to introduce to you our dear friend. And I wanted to interview her today as we highlight women, International Women, and all of the good work that you were doing. And so, Rooks, would you just introduce yourself and tell a little bit about what you do? And I know you're in your office there. It is 6:20 a.m. here Central Time in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States, and it is 2:20 in the afternoon there?
Yes, correct.
Yes. So would you tell us a little bit about what you do in work, and then I know we'll get to talk about a little bit about what we do in ministry.
Okay, well, Rooks Moodley, and good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to be speaking to you on International Women's Day from the Eastern Cape, South Africa, which is known as the home of the legends. Being in the Eastern Cape reminds me of a wonderful quotation by Tata Nelson Mandela, who says, what counts in life is not the mere fact that you have lived. It is what difference you have made to the lives of others that will determine your own significance. And so I'm currently the director of the Eastern Cape NGO Coalition. What is this NGO Coalition? It's an umbrella body for more than 850 non-governmental organizations in the Eastern Cape. We're about the only coalition that has survived for close on to 22 years. We celebrate 22 years of our existence this year in South Africa, and our primary mandate is to create a vibrant civil society.
That is so awesome and amazing. And in my background, Rooks, prior to Mary Kay was nonprofit work. So in America, we say nonprofit or not-for-profit, and in South Africa, you say NGO, right? Non-governmental agency.
We also, basically, under NGOs, we break it up into categories, which is non-profit, NPO, CBO, which is community-based organizations, and FBOs, which is faith-based organizations.
Excellent,
and in addition to that, non-governmental, we also work with business, private sector, traditional leaders. Those are some of the other sectors that fall within non-government.
Excellent, excellent. So we do use some of the same language. So can you tell me, I know that originally, tell a little bit about growing up a little bit, you know, your situation growing up. I know on your bio you talked about growing up materially poor but rich in so many other areas, and wanting to be an accountant, and your education. How did you develop this burden and desire for what you are currently doing?
I think as a little child, we always lived within communities that were very interdependent. And even though one may have been materially poor, you did not really feel the huge impact of it because of the values that we were entrenched in. And so we had a communal culture which was very interdependent, as compared to these days, families are more independent. And so I think as a little child, and being strongly entrenched in my faith from a very little girl, I then developed a love for people. And I think my love for people comes very much from my deeply entrenched spirituality, which is my deep love for God. And I think that when we are created, we are all born with meaning and purpose. And I was very fortunate that even though I wanted to be a chartered accountant, just so that I would get out of the cycle of poverty, I realized that God had different plans for me. And 23 years ago, He then took me into the NGO world, which I call my meaning, my purpose, and my vocation. And like I always say, a famous author once said, if you do what you love, you never work in a day. And 23 years later, I have intense energy and love, because that comes out of my passion of helping others and making their lives more meaningful. And I think my whole philosophy is entrenched in what I call transforming self and transforming society.
That is so good, so good. And you know that prophetically we pay attention to detail. And Rooks, yesterday, literally less than 12 hours ago, I quoted that quote. As a matter of fact, it's on the previous interview I did last night. I was on the radio last night, and I turned around and interviewed the host, because he grew up on the south side of Chicago and became successful in radio. And as I was interviewing him, I was talking about how passionate he was, and I used that same quote. And so that is awesome. Are you still there, Rooks? It went dark on your side. So much more I want to share. Can you still hear me? Hang tight, you guys. Oops, it just went dark. Hang tight, it's me. So much more that I want to share from Rooks. You guys, excellent. Can you hear me, Rooks?
Yes, now we can. We connected again.
Okay. And we'll see your video again, hopefully. So let's just talk. Can you talk a little bit more? Hopefully the video will come back, but we can definitely still hear you. There you go. Excellent. So can you talk really about the community you serve and the really the good work that you're doing, and to give the viewers an idea of the environment there? We love coming. It's such a vibrant, beautiful place, but I know that not unlike America, and in some ways even more significantly, there's such a need, and so many in need all over the world, of course we know. But can you talk about really what you're the work that you're doing and the difference it's making in the communities there?
Well, the Eastern Cape is known as the home of the legends. We're probably the only province that has produced not one but two presidents, one of whom is a world icon, which I mentioned, Tata Nelson Mandela. However, in terms of poverty, this province remains amongst the three highest in terms of the Human Poverty Index. In terms of economic and social challenges, we are still predominantly a welfare-orientated province. The masses of our communities survive on social grants. And that means that their involvement in the economy or the mainstream economy is limited. In addition to that, because of the effects and the impact of apartheid and colonization, the province requires much support in terms of infrastructure building, simple things like access to digital media, access to Wi-Fi, access to internet are things that don't really take place because this province is predominantly rural. And you will find that access is basically within your urban settings, which is very limited. The province or the province is made up of only 2 metros, and it is made up of 6 districts. So that tells you that in being able to go to the various districts, infrastructure, road infrastructure, different types of infrastructure becomes a challenge. There's still a great need to be able to provide clean drinking water, safe drinking water, issues of sanitation where people can have toilets within their homes, issues of electrification. 23 years almost into our democracy, there are still many homes within the Eastern Cape that require these essential services which so many people take for granted.
Wow. And so how much of the funding is coming from the government versus grants? How does the funding work that helps you to do the work?
Well, currently our government, in terms of the state fiscus, does contribute a large portion of the budget. And currently in the Eastern Cape, we just had the MEC deliver the budget speech last week. And about 80% of that budget will go towards education, health, social welfare. So a large portion of our budget still remains allocated more towards a welfare state rather than a developmental state. However, if we are to make any impact in terms of South Africa's Vision 2030, which is to address the issue of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, we will need to look at new social compacts. And these compacts refer to the triple P, partnership in terms of partnering with the public sector, which is government, which is the private sector, which is business, and people, which I call the triple P. And so I would love to believe, as the Eastern Cape NGO Coalition, we exist primarily not only to create a capable developmental state, but we want to create a capable developmental citizenry. And so our goal is to empower and conscientize citizens
and wanting to have, being very rural there and wanting to have access to Wi-Fi. This is an example of things that we can take for granted. And let's be clear, even sitting here in downtown Chicago, my Wi-Fi goes up and down and up and down. But so many things that we take for granted in terms of healthcare, in terms of you know, some of the basic things that we do in our daily life that provide us with a quality of life that we're accustomed to are dependent upon technology. And so I know that Rooks will bounce back in and we'll take a few more minutes because I definitely want to talk briefly with her about the amazing work she's doing in ministry, because really that's how I know her. She is an amazing daughter of the faith and my husband, Dr. Anthony Earl, has known her and been able to interact with both her and her amazing husband of 22 years. I wanted Rooks to talk about Samuel Moodley and the fact that March 25th, they'll be celebrating their 22-year anniversary. So when she talks about, I believe, 23 years since apartheid, you can imagine the love of her life, the amazing life they've had, but yet the amazing history that they have watched come about right there in South Africa. So I know that you're back, Rooks.
Yes.
And, so thank you so much. You were talking about public, private, and people, which is so good. I'm going to bounce back. And so how can, I've had a couple of really good questions as you were talking, but just a little bit more about what you're doing. If people want to learn more, how would they be able to learn more about how they might be able to support the amazing work that you're doing there?
Okay, well, some of the ways we can support is through, obviously, proposals. We would love to have proposals developed where we can look at partnerships in terms of 4 areas: education, human rights, rural development, and health. Those are the 4 crucial issues that are important within our province. I think we need huge investments within these 2 areas. And so as the Eastern Cape NGO Coalition, we're an intermediary that works with NGOs throughout the province who specialize in different sectors, be it early childhood development, be it women abuse, be it child support. And so this is how we would act as an intermediary to be able to sustain specific communities. And the model that we use is pilots, where we would look at a good practice model and we would then implement it in a specific community. And that is how the partnership can be considered. So we have 3 focus areas. Number 1, to help NGOs in terms of capacity building and training. So NGOs need to be trained in areas of governance, financial management, organizational development, marketing and branding. We need to look at NGO sustainability, so both cash resources and non-cash resources can be contributed so that NGOs can help communities in which they are located.
That is so good. I know the question I wanted to ask about, it seems as if when you're doing the work that you're doing and you can see evidence of the challenges that exist in the community and everyone believing that we all have a right to a good quality of life, but yet we deal with so much racism. And so can you talk just a little bit about, you know, how you deal with that? Or is there, I know that there is a lot of that, not only in the non-government sector, but in the government sector. And how does that affect the work that you're doing on a regular basis?
I think that's an interesting conversation right now, because South Africa is a very unique country and we have to appreciate our diversity. And so we need to talk about socio-economic transformation within diversity, while at the same time being cognizant of the fact that resources need to be channeled to communities that were previously disadvantaged. And so I think that in our country, it's essential that every ethnic group build partnerships, because there are valuable resources and skills and competencies within every single ethnic group. And so the coalition is promoting what one calls transformation in diversity and how we can build our nation together. I think from a kingdom perspective, I would like to say that instead of looking at race, let's look at the grace in each person.
I love that. I love that. That is so beautiful. And so before we go, I definitely wanted to have you talk about the work that you're doing in ministry And then I wanted to, of course, mention my brother Sam. Okay, I wanted to mention your amazing husband, Samuel Moodley, and her 22-year marriage. And so I know she's going to come back, and this will be the final portion of the interview. But you guys, has this just been so amazing to hear? Rooks is, we get, when we go to South Africa, we get to hang out and have fun. And she's such a fun and amazing person. But I'm telling you, she is doing such good work there in South Africa. And so we will wait for her to bounce back on, and I know she'll come back on again. So we are going to have her join. I love that she says about her husband, their love is intrinsically interwoven by their family motto, love God, love people. Their journey started 28 years ago on February 14th, 1989, a famous day in America. I love that, again, the quote from Nelson Mandela, what counts in life is not the mere fact that you have lived, but is what difference you make to the lives of others that will determine your own significance. And can you just believe, just to highlight again, she's the director of the Eastern Cape BGNO Coalition, NGO non-governmental organization located in Eastern London, a province of the Eastern Cape of South Africa. And Rooks has served for 6 years as a part of that organization. It's an umbrella body representing more than 850 NGOs, which are, as you said, Rooks, nonprofits, CBOs, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations. I mean, you are doing massive work. And so I know that the Lord is going to help us to stay connected just for a couple more minutes. Can you talk about ministry, and then just what you're doing in ministry? And then I would love definitely for you to fit in just what you would say to women to be totally, you are just so balanced, amazing wife, amazing in ministry, and doing such quality work in the community. So I wanted to hit on that too before our time is up. So can you talk about the work you're doing in ministry and how that even impacts
yes.
work that you're called to?
I think what is essential for me is the fact that I'm deeply embedded in my faith. And my love, passion, and energy comes from my faith. So in terms of kingdom work, my husband and I have what you would call a spiritual gift in counseling and deep inner healing. And so we use that as a dragnet to speak to people. I think our relationship after 22 years of marriage on the 25th of March this year is intrinsically intertwined or interwoven by our deep love for God and for people. And so in terms of ministry, we build a model of family, and we provide resource to children, women, youth, families. And I think my most recent resource that I'm going to be launching hopefully on my wedding anniversary is a workbook on a 32-day journey on how you discover who you are and why you were born. And so that's the message I'd like to give to every woman out there, to say that it's important to ask yourself these two critical questions. Why were you born, and what are you doing on the earth? And I'd like to frame it by a quotation that Tata Nelson Mandela describes. And this is what he says. He says, what I fear is not that I'm inadequate. What I fear the most is that I'm powerful beyond measure, and my playing small does not help. That is the message I'd like to give to all women out there. If you're playing small, stop playing small. It's time to play big, because the world needs you out there.
I love that. I love that so much, Rooks. And I'm telling you, each and every one of my girlfriends that are part of the Force of Friendship, we have talked about a trip to South Africa. So I want to tell you, and speaking very prophetically, that I just believe that we are going to be sitting someplace on the Cape or someplace having lunch, having dinner, And, you know, it is going to be just an amazing experience as we
Wonderful.
want
I've
to
been
empower
very
women.
curious about a visit to South Africa, Eastern Cape, not Western Cape, Eastern Cape.
Yes, 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 yes. So thank you so much. I just am so grateful that we have technology and we use WhatsApp and Skype and now Google Hangout. And I know you've got lots of work to do. Just blessings to you. Give our love to your husband, and 22 years on the 22nd, 25th,
25th, yes,
25th. And so I know that we will see the celebration on Facebook, and we just love you. I cannot wait. We are not able to make the trip in April that Anthony was going to make there because we'll be in Argentina. But I know the very next trip we will be coming, and so I hope to be there in 2017. And we still have an open door for both of you, both in Chicago and in San Francisco. So I know that God will allow you to make that way, and perhaps even some of the people that view this will want to know more and support what you're doing. So love you. All right, you guys. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.